We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. This is Abe, your host. It is July 8th, 2:20 a.m. Today's my day off. Honestly, I've just done a whole lot of sleeping. I got home. My white Pontiac has died again. So, basically got home after days of work and what all started, listen to this. Okay. So I have Monday and Wednesday off. Sunday, I went to go to work. Or no, it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday I went to go to work, which would have been yesterday. I go to get in my white Pontiac. It won't start. So I get in the Cadillac. Cadillac has a headlight out. So then I get pulled over on the way to work. I don't know. I was like, man, I just want to call in. I don't even want to go in at this point. But luckily, I don't know, it worked out perfectly to where I was off the next day. And I'm like, fuck it. I'll just go in, suffer through. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've done today is sleep because I work third. And I got the car towed. I have no idea how much it's going to cost, what it is. I hope it's not like a transmission or nothing, but kind of sucks because Sammy's birthday is coming up and I'm trying to save up money for it, but seems like life keeps happening, so I don't know. It's a little aggravating. It's a little annoying. It was kind of funny this morning, though. We have like this, when you pull up into the parking lot for the apartment complex, it's super steep, and we don't use it. We use like an alleyway to drive through. And the tow truck driver didn't know. We didn't think about telling him. And yeah, he like totally smashed up the front of his tow truck. He had to pull over and get out and everything. It's not funny, but I'm like, fuck, we should have told him. But that's it as far as like updates. I've been rereading, not rereading, I've been reading Series of Unfortunate Events again. I'm on like book 6, which is pretty cool. I started reading it when I was a kid, and I would get a book here and there and then put it down and then pick it back up and then put it down and then pick it back up. Seriously, hang on. My computer is acting insane, so I don't even know. Hopefully this records all right. But yeah, just been reading, working, podcasting. We were going to go hiking today, but I was on like 3 hours of sleep. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go hiking on 3 hours of sleep. Well, it wasn't really hiking, but like roadside local attraction. It's like something like Mud Meeting House of Harrisburg, Kentucky. I don't know. It looks cool, but I have trouble sleeping, and I'd only slept like 3 hours, and I'm like, I'm not gonna drag myself out of bed to go see something when I could get a full night's sleep and go check it out myself, But yeah, that's about it. Today we're covering Event 201. We have mentioned it in passing, here and there just with all that's going on. But I wanted to specifically cover it from their words because I don't know, you get a lot of trolls and stuff on YouTube or just in general, and people look at you like you're crazy, like you're making all this stuff up. So I wanted to go to the official website and show you what they said themselves. But I'm just going to kind of browse through the website and read the little articles they got and them explaining it in their own words, and you can put two and two together. I think it's odd. I think it's weird. I think it's planned. So that's what today's episode we're covering. I hope you enjoy. And yeah, we'll get on with the show. All right. So this is centerforhealthsecurity.org. And I don't know, I just wanted to get it from the horse's mouth because for some reason everyone thinks I'm batshit crazy in my life, and everyone thinks I'm batshit crazy on YouTube because it's a bunch of squares there. Everyone else loves my stuff on audio only or BitChute or YouTube, but for some reason, I guess, I don't know, there are a bunch of SJWs and squares on YouTube. Except for the few followers I do have, thank you very much for following me. I'm not speaking directly to you if I'm speaking foul. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Event 201, a global pandemic exercise. Let's see what About says. We're just going to kind of surf through the website, kind of like how we did with the Complan 8888. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't caught that episode, catch it. I'll try to link it at the credits. You can click on it and check that out. It's Complan 8888. About the Event 201 exercise. Event 201 was a 3.5-hour pandemic tabletop exercise that simulated a series of dramatic scenario-based facilitated discussions confronting difficult true-to-life dilemmas associated with response to a hypothetical but scientifically plausible pandemic. 15 global business, government, and public health leaders were players in the simulation exercise that highlighted unresolved real-world policy and economic issues that could be solved with sufficient political will, financial investment, and attention now and in the future. So let me sum that up in layman's terms. A bunch of elite psychopaths sat around a table and played D&D, but the characters are actually all hypothetical, quote-unquote, but were the pawns on the chessboard. You catch my drift? The exercise consisted of pre-recorded news broadcasts, live staff briefings, and moderate discussions on specific topics. These issues were carefully designed in a compelling narrative that educated the participants and the audience. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Johns Hopkins Center, ew, just look into that rabbit hole. It's disgusting. Evil. World Economic Forum, that gets into Klaus Schwab and Agenda 21, the Great Reset, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Oh, they've never done anything wrong. Ask India. Purpose. In recent years, the world has seen a growing number of epidemic events, amounting to approximately 200 events annually. These events are increasing, and they are disruptive to health, economies, and society. Managing these events already strains global capacity, even absent a pandemic threat. Experts agree that it is only a matter of time before one of these epidemics become global. A pandemic with potentially catastrophic consequences. A severe pandemic which becomes Event 201 would require reliable cooperation among several industries, national governments, and key international institutions. Recent economic studies show that pandemics will be the cause of an average annual economic loss of 0.07% of global GDP, or $570 billion. The The players' responses to the scenario illuminated the need for cooperation among industry, national governments, key international institutions, and civil society to avoid the catastrophic consequences that could arise from a large-scale pandemic. Similar to the Center's 3 previous exercises, Clade X, Dark Winter, and Atlantic Storm. Ooh, we need to look into those 3 exercises. Clade X, Dark Winter, especially Dark Winter. You hear Biden, the quote-unquote president of the United States, he keeps saying dark winter. It's going to be a dark winter, a dark winter. So we really honestly need to look into that one, because I don't think that these phrases and words they use in these speeches are on accident. I think they're telling you what they're going to do. Kind of like how Event 201 told you what was going to happen and what we're going through right now. Event 201 aimed to educate senior leaders at the highest level of U.S. and international governments and leaders in global industries. It is also a tool to inform members of the policy and preparedness communities of the general public. This is distinct from many other forms of simulation exercises that test protocols of technical policies of a specific organization. Exercises similar to Event 201 are particularly effective way to help policymakers gain a fuller understanding of the urgent challenges they could face in a dynamic real-world crisis. Here's the scenario. Let's go to scenario. The Event 201 scenario. Event 201 simulates an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people. Bats? Wait, didn't all these YouTube videos get shut down when we said that it came from bats? And all these channels got strikes and shut down, and all their videos got taken down. And then it comes out that it actually came from Wuhan lab, from bats. Hey, I wonder if YouTube put those channels back up, or took off my old strikes for saying what I said. Oh, probably not. Yeah, that probably, yeah, But we'll just ignore that. Sorry. From bats to pigs to people, that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. The pathogen and the disease it causes are modeled largely on SARS, but it is more transmissible in the community setting by people with mild symptoms. The disease starts in pig farms in Brazil, quietly and slowly at first, but then it starts to spread more rapidly in healthcare centers. When it starts to spread efficiently, when it starts to spread efficiently, I don't like the way they use that word, almost like it's like, yeah, we need efficient spreading. Like, that's not a good thing. I don't know. It just seems, maybe it's just me. From person to person in the low income, kill off the poor, densely packed neighborhoods of some of the megacities in South America, the epidemic explodes. It is first exported by air travel to Portugal, the United States, and China, and then to many other countries. Although at first some countries are able to control it, it continues to spread and be reintroduced, and eventually no country can maintain control. There is no possibility of a vaccine being available in the first year. This is a fictional antiviral drug that can help the sick but not significantly limit spread of the disease. Since the whole human population is susceptible during the initial months of the pandemic, the cumulative number of cases increases exponentially, doubling every week. And as the cases and deaths accumulate, wait, what cases and deaths? I don't see bodies everywhere. Oh, sorry. All I hear is crickets outside. Sorry. The economic and societal consequences become increasingly severe. The scenario ends at the 18th month point with 65 million deaths. The pandemic is beginning to slow due to the decreasing number of susceptible people. The pandemic will continue at some rate until there is an effective vaccine or until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. From that point on, it is likely to be an endemic childhood disease. So let's see about players, resources. Let's do recommendations. Let's see what this says. Public-private cooperation for pandemic preparedness and response. A call to action. The next severe pandemic will not only cause great illness and loss of life, but also trigger major cascading economic and societal consequences that could contribute greatly to global impact and suffering. Efforts to prevent such consequences or respond to them as they unfold will require unprecedented levels of collaboration between governments, international organizations, and the private sector. They have been important efforts to engage the private sector in epidemic and outbreak preparedness at the national or regional level. However, there are major unmet global vulnerabilities and international system challenges posed by pandemics that will require new robust forms of public-private cooperation to address. The Event 201 pandemic exercises conducted on, listen to this, the Event 201 pandemic exercise conducted on October 18th, 2019. That was what I wanted to emphasize. October 18th, 2019. This is not a conspiracy. This is off the official organization website, .org. And people think that this shit was not planned. Vividly demonstrating a number of these important gaps in pandemic preparedness, as well as some of the elements of the solutions between the public and private sectors that will be needed to fill them. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, World Economic Forum, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation jointly proposed the following. Number 1. Governments, international organizations, and businesses should plan now for how essential corporate capabilities will be utilized during a large-scale pandemic. During a severe pandemic, public sector efforts to control the outbreak are likely to become overwhelmed. But industry assets, if swiftly and appropriately deployed, could help to save lives and reduce economic losses. For instance, companies with operations focused on logistics, social media, like censoring. Yeah, there you go. Censor the actual truth. And then a year later, the mainstream media will come out and say, oh yeah, it turns out all the conspiracy theorists were right the entire fucking time. They've been doing that more and more here recently. Everyone's looked at me like I'm crazy and got lobsters crawling out of my ears, and turns out everything I've been saying has been coming true. I'm not a psychic. I just do my homework. Let's see. Or distribution systems will be needed to enable governments, emergency response, risk communications, and medical countermeasure distribution efforts during a pandemic. This includes working together to ensure that strategic commodities are available and accessible for public health response. Contingency planning for a potential operational partnership between government and business will be complex, with many legal and organizational details to be addressed. Governments should work now to identify the most critical areas of need and reach out to industry players with the goal of finalizing agreements in advance of the next large pandemic. The Global Preparedness Monitoring Board will be well positioned to help monitor and contribute to the efforts the governments, international organizations, and businesses should take care for pandemic preparedness and response. Number 2, Industry. National governments and international organizations should work together to enhance internationally held stockpiles of medical countermeasures, MCMs for short, to enable rapid and equitable distribution during a severe pandemic. The World Health Organization, WHO, gross, currently has an influenza vaccine virtual stockpile, with contracts in place with pharmaceutical companies to have agreed to supply vaccines should WHO request them. As one possible approach, the virtual stockpile model could be expanded to augment WHO's ability to distribute vaccines and therapeutics to countries in the greatest need during a severe pandemic. This should also include any available experimental vaccine stockpiles for any WHO R&D blueprint pathogens to deploy in a clinical trial during outbreaks in collaboration with CEPI, GAVI, and WHO. Other approaches could involve regional stockpiles or bi- or multinational agreements. During a catastrophic outbreak, countries may be reluctant to part with scarce medical resources. Well, they can have my vaccine if they want. I gladly volunteer mine. I actually feel great, so I don't. Yeah, you can have mine. You can have mine, my first dose, my second dose, and my booster. Have all three. Oh, by the way, those boosters won't stop. You're going to have those once a year. Just saying. Have fun with that. A robust international stockpile could therefore help to ensure that low and middle resource settings received needed supplies regardless of whether they produce such supplies domestically. Countries with national supplies or domestic manufacturing capabilities should commit to donate some supply/product to this virtual stockpile. Countries should support this effort through provision of additional funding. Number 3, countries, international organizations, and global transportation companies should work together to maintain travel and trade during severe pandemics. So shut down all travel, aka, there you go. Travel and trade are essential to the global economy as well as national and even local economies, and they should be maintained even in the face of a pandemic. Well, if they should be maintained, why'd you guys shut everything down? Sounds like you guys weren't doing the Event 201 very well, were you? Improved decision-making, coordination, and communications between the public and private sectors relating to risk, travel, advisories, import-export restrictions, and border measures will be needed. The fear and uncertainty experienced during past outbreaks, even those limited to national or regional level, have sometimes led to unjustified border measures. There you go. You're admitting to unjustified border measures. There you go. Pat yourself on the back. You admitted some sins. The closure of customer-facing businesses, import bans, and the cancellation of airline flights and international shipping. Oh, so you mean cutting off our food supply like you guys are doing right now in the docks, where there's crates of food just sitting on piers in the docks right now. Yeah, go check that out. They're trying to starve us out right now. A particularly fast-moving and lethal pandemic could therefore result in political decision to slow or stop movement of people and goods, potentially harming economies already vulnerable in the face of an outbreak. Ministries of health and other government agencies should work together now with international airlines and global shipping companies to develop realistic response scenarios and start a contingency planning process with the goal of mitigating economic damage by maintaining key travel and trade routes during a large-scale pandemic. Supporting continued trade and travel is in such an extreme circumstance may require the provision of an enhanced disease control measures and personal protective equipment for transportation workers. Government subsidies to support critical trade routes and potential liability protection in certain cases. International organizations including WHO, the International Air Transportation Association, and the International Civil Aviation Organization should be partners in these preparedness and response efforts. Number 4, government should provide more resources and support for the development and surge manufacturing of vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics. Diagnostics, the PCR test, which has already been proven by the creator of the PCR test that it's not made for that. But for some reason, we still keep breaking the blood-brain barrier of people's craniums for some reason, I don't know. Morgellons. Oh, sorry. Will be needed during a severe pandemic. In the event of a severe pandemic, countries may need population-level supplies of safe and effectual medical countermeasures, including vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics. Therefore, the ability to rapidly develop, manufacture, distribute, and dispense large quantities of MCMs will be needed to contain and control a global outbreak. Countries with enough resources should greatly increase this capability. In coordination with WHO, CEPI, the CEPI, and Gavi, and other relevant multilateral and domestic mechanisms, investments should be made in new technologies and industrial approaches that will allow concomitant, I've never heard that word before, I apologize, I'm not the smartest book on the shelf. Distributed manufacturing. This will require addressing legal and regulatory barriers, among other issues. Number 5, global businesses should recognize the economic burden of pandemics and fight for stronger preparedness. In addition to investing more in preparing their own companies and industries, business leaders and their shareholders should actively engage with governments and advocate for increased resources for pandemic preparedness. Well, it sounds like they were pretty prepared when all these big stockholders all left right before the pandemic hit. Sounds like they were prepared, almost like they knew. So they got that right. Good job. Pat yourself on the back, global elite. You did a good job. Globally, there has been a lack of attention and investment in preparing for high-impact pandemics, and business is largely not involved in existing efforts. To a significant extent, this is due to a lack of awareness of the business risk posed by a pandemic. Tools should be built that help large private sector companies visualize business risk posed by infectious disease and pathways to mitigate risk through public-private cooperation to strengthen preparedness. A severe pandemic would greatly interfere with workforce health, business operations, and the movement of goods and services. A catastrophic level outbreak can also have profound and long-lasting effects on entire industries, the economy, and societies in which business operates. While governments and public health authorities serve as the first line of defense against fast-moving outbreaks, their efforts are chronically underfunded and lack sustained support. Global business leaders should play a far more dynamic role as advocates with a stake in stronger pandemic preparedness. Number 6, international organizations should prioritize reducing economic impacts of epidemics and pandemics. Much of the economic harm resulting from a pandemic is likely to be due to counterproductive behavior of individuals. Oh, really? Blame the behavior of individuals? No, it has nothing to do with the elites at the top of the pyramid. It's us at the bottom. Companies and countries. For examples, actions that lead to distribution of travel and trade or that change consumer behavior can greatly damage economies. In addition to other response activities, an increase in and reassessment of pandemic financial support will certainly be needed in a severe pandemic, as many sectors of society may need financial support, kind of like the small businesses. Yeah, I think they would need financial support. Oh, wait, shut them down and open Walmart. Yeah, there you go. That very good. Very well. Very good. Good job, elite. Good job. You guys know how to take care of us, man. And national governments. Furthermore, the ways in which these existing funds can now be used are limited. The international health regulations prioritize both minimizing public health risk and avoiding unnecessary interference with international traffic and trade. But there will also be a need to identify critical nodes of the banking system in global and national economies that are too essential to fail. There are some that are likely to need emergency international financial support as well. Yeah, like small businesses. The World Bank. The World Bank needs financial support? The International Monetary Fund? Regional development banks, national governments, foundations? No. So basically, a whole list of wankers who don't need actual financial support. Let the small businesses die, but everyone else gets support. Kind of like the Smithsonian Museum. Ugh. Disgusting. Governments in the private sector. This is number 7, by the way. Governments in private sectors should assign a greater priority to developing methods to combat mis- and disinformation. Oh, like they've been censoring all the YouTubers who were right for the past year, and now it's getting blasted on the mainstream news, and suddenly, oh, you guys were right, by the way, for the past year. Even though we deleted your channels, put strikes on your channels, made it to where you can't broadcast anymore, it turns out you were right the whole time. Okay, so give us back our fucking channels, YouTube. Give us back our shit. No, we won't get our shit back, you know. Governments in their private sector, disinformation, blah, blah, blah. Governments will need to partner with traditional and social media companies to research and develop nimble approaches to countering misinformation. By the way, I got my Facebook for this channel, Conspiracy Corner Facebook page, got shut down literally the day after 4th of July. How American is that? How American is that? And then you got Mark Zuckerberg flying or surfing around with a American flag the day before. What a wank. This will require developing the ability to flood media with fast, accurate, and consistent information. Public health authorities should work with private employers and trusted I don't like that. And trusted community leaders such as faith leaders, churches, to promulgate factual information to employees and citizens. Trusted, influential private sector employers should create the capacity to readily and reliably augment public messaging, manage rumors and misinformation, and amplify credible information. Like what? CNN? Fox? Yeah, right. To support emergency public communications. National public health agencies should work in close collaboration with WHO to create the capability to rapidly develop and release consistent health messages for their part. Media companies should commit to ensuring that authoritative messages are prioritized and that false messages are suppressed, kind of like our YouTube channels, even though we've been right for the whole past year and you guys keep deleting it and striking us, and then you won't give us our channels back, even though it turns out we were right, including through the use of technology. Accomplishing the above goals will require collaboration among governments, international organizations, and global business. If these recommendations are robustly pursued, major progress can be made to diminish the potential impact and consequences of pandemics. Pandemics. We call on leaders in global business, international organizations, and national governments to launch an ambitious effort to work together to build a world better prepared for a severe pandemic. Pandemic. That's all she wrote on this fucking website. You're welcome to look it up yourself. It's in the horse's mouth. It's out of the horse's mouth. That's their words. It's not a fucking conspiracy, guys. By the way, July 9th, they're doing a drill in the U.S. I don't know if it's everywhere. You might want to have food stocked up. July 9th. I know it's short notice, but hey, I've been telling you guys to stock food up all year. So, God bless you all. You all be careful. Stay safe.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.